Everyone wants this to be an answer, a simple blood test that finds cancer early. But I'm going to save you a lot of pain right now. This test is a lie. If you are a healthy person, this test doesn't find cancer, it finds confusion. And if you're asking for it, this may be the most dangerous medical decision you make this year. I'm Dr. Chovanec, and to understand why this trap exists, we need to look at what's floating in this blood and the massive government trial, the PLCO study, that proved why this dream test is actually a statistical nightmare. To understand why these tests fail, we have to look at the biology. Tumor markers are essentially proteins found in your blood, urine, or body tissues. They are produced either by the cancer cells themselves, which is a minority of cases, or by our body in response to the tumor. In a healthy person, these levels are typically very low, but as cancer cells divide and multiply, they can pump massive amounts of these substances into our bloodstream, effectively flooding the system. Think of the blood test like a smoke detector in your kitchen and a tumor marker like a smoke coming out of the fire. If your house is on fire, meaning you have cancer, there is a lot of smoke and the detector goes off. That is what we want. But here is the problem. If you just burn a piece of toast, meaning you have inflammation, the detector goes off anyway. It doesn't know if your house is burning down, meaning you have cancer, or you just have an inflammation or a benign cyst acting like a burnt toast. The only way to find out is to call the fire department to smash the door to look into your house, which in medicine is surgery. Let's look at the real-world consequences of that burnt toast. The US government led a massive experiment called the PLCO trial, where they screened nearly 40,000 healthy women for ovarian cancer with a tumor marker called CA-125. Over 3,000 women got positive results. The smoke detector went off. They were terrified. And the doctors did what we are trained to do. We operated. 1,080 of these women went for surgery. They have removed ovaries and uterus, only to find nothing. It was just a toast. Benign cyst, inflammation, endometriosis. But the surgery was real. 163 of those women suffered major complication, bleeding, blood clots, infections that were severely damaged. They walked in healthy and they walked out scared, all because of this vial. Now men, we are not off the hook. We need to talk about the PSA test. This one is controversial because it can save lives, but with massive screening, we are running into a problem which is called a turtle. Autopsy studies showed that by age 80, 60% of men will have some form of prostate cancer. Most of them are called turtles, and by the time you die of old age, they are not able to do any harm to you whatsoever. The blood test finds the turtle, we panic, we make the diagnosis, and the consequences are severe. If we find the cancer in the prostate of the man, we have to act on it. We can either watch the man or treat him with surgery or radiation, which lead to erectile dysfunction or incontinence in most of the men. This is a severe damage to the quality of life of men and to their sexual function. According to European data, to save one man, we need to screen 456 men. The PLCO trial tracked 76,000 men for 13 years. The half got screened, the half didn't. And the result? The men who got screened had more cancer diagnosed, but they didn't live longer compared to the men who didn't get screened. So to save one man, we end up diagnosing 12 other men with cancer that would never have hurt them. These men are ending up with incontinence and erectile dysfunction. They are severely damaged. This is the gamble. Are you the 1 or are you the 12? It gets worse. We talked about the false alarms, but what if you have cancer and that alarm never goes off? Take the CEA, the carcinoembryogenic antigen, which is a tumor marker for the colon cancer. This is the one smoker loves to ask for. If you are smoking, you have naturally higher levels of CEA comparing to non-smokers. So if you're on that test, you have a higher level of CEA, you get a scare you don't need. But scarier is this: 30% of colon cancer do not produce this tumor marker. They are the ghost tumor. You could have a tumor growing in your colon right now, and you take the test, and you decide to skip the colonoscopy because everything is fine. This is called the false assurance trap. You are walking around with a false shield while the enemy is already in the gate. So does this mean you should ignore your health? No, but you should stop looking for magic and start looking for evidence. So treat this evidence with extreme caution. Tumor markers are notoriously unreliable for general cancer screening. An elevated marker can be a false alarm, while a normal result can give you a false sense of security even if tumor is present. They are complicated tools for doctors to monitor treatment effect, not for false self-assurance. Here are the screens that actually work. Colon. After age 50 colonoscopy, it doesn't just find cancer, it is also able to cure the small lesions. Breast. After age 40, a mammogram. This is the standard procedure for screening the breast cancer. Either in cervix, you should go for a pap smear to rule out the cervical cancer. These may not be very pretty, but they are real. Now there is one crazy exception. A cheap home test for men to test for markers that they should never ever have. If you want to know why a pregnancy test can save your life, you need to watch this video. Don't be tough, be smart, click here.